Next at 11, two presidential rallies in Pittsburgh on the eve of Election Day. The final remarks from both candidates, hoping a Pennsylvania win will put them over the top. And polls close in less than 24 hours, but the tally may take a while longer, when election officials believe results could come in.
Pittsburgh's Action News 4 starts right now.
Our campaign has tapped into the ambitions, the aspirations, and the dreams of the American people. And we know it is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
Many people say that God saved me in order to save America. Many people are saying that. And with your help, we will fulfill that extraordinary mission together.
It is election eve and the attention of both presidential candidates right here in Pittsburgh. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Clark. Kristen Powers is on assignment. Earlier tonight, former President Donald Trump held one of his final campaign events at PPG Paints Arena, while Vice President Kamala Harris held a rally of her own at the Cary Blast Furnaces in Rankin. We have team coverage for you tonight, looking at the last pitches from each of the candidates and supporters' reaction to the extra attention from the presidential hopefuls. Pittsburgh's Action News 4 anchor Kristen Powers reports from former President Trump's rally tonight, and she has the former president's comments.
Mike, former President Donald Trump speaking for almost 2 hours here in Pittsburgh, focusing on the importance of Pennsylvania.
If we win Pennsylvania, we will win the whole thing. It's very simple.
Donald Trump speaking to fervent supporters in Pittsburgh.
My message to Americans tonight is simple. We do not have to live this way. We don't. We don't. And we won't. We won't. We do not have to settle for weakness, incompetence, decline, and decay. With your vote tomorrow, we can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America.
The former president focusing on some of his campaign promises, like cracking down on illegal immigration.
And I am hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen.
And promising tariffs on Mexico to stop the flow of fentanyl into the U.S.
Drugs will stop so damn fast that your head will spin. And I'm not playing games. I'm doing the same thing to China.
Trump also continued to focus on unfounded claims about the security of the election.
Do you know that I'm hearing that stories that they may take 12 days extra to count the ballots? And bad things happen when you do that.
During his almost 2-hour speech, Trump bringing on stage some of his children.
I just want to thank my kids because they are great kids and they have been with me from the beginning.
And Megyn Kelly.
The boys should not be in the girls' sports.
Trump also acknowledging Roberto Clemente Jr., the son of Roberto Clemente, and bringing him on stage. This comes after a comedian at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally called Puerto Rico a, quote, floating island of garbage.
Puerto Rico, I love Puerto Rico. Come on, come here. Tell them how great was your father.
Trump ending, urging the crowd to vote.
We will make America great again. Thank you, Pittsburgh.
And former President Donald Trump still has a long night ahead of him after speaking here in Pittsburgh. Now he's headed to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he will be closing out his 2024 election campaign. At PPG Paints Arena, I'm Kristen Powers for Pittsburgh's Action News 4.
Thank you, Kristen. Trump's rally, a vibrant one with thousands of supporters showing up for this final push. Our team coverage continues now with Kaylee Gunderson, who spoke with them about the former president's final remarks.
This rally, former President Donald Trump's final chance to speak directly to Pennsylvania voters before polls open. We heard from voters who got the chance to hear from Trump inside the rally, as well as voters just passing by. Thousands filing in to PPG Paints Arena Monday night to hear former President Donald Trump's last words to voters before they head to the polls, some for the first time.
I think it's great that my first time voting will be for Trump.
Voters speaking with Pittsburgh's Action News 4 following Trump's remarks.
Just getting rid of the illegal immigrants, straighten up the country, getting back to where prices are where they should be.
Donald Trump is going to save our country. We need Donald Trump in the White House.
We also heard from voters not attending the rally, but taking in the sea of voters earlier in the evening.
This is history here in the makings. Determine who's going to be our president of the United States of America. It means a lot to you, me, my kids, and everyone else.
I know which way that I'm going, but at the end of the day, it's very, very important that we use our voice to make a change.
And the voters we heard from leaving the rally just as energized as the many that we talked to waiting in those long lines, all eager to cast their votes on Election Day. Reporting in downtown Pittsburgh, Kaylee Gunderson, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.
Kaylee, thank you. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris spoke to supporters in Rankin, hoping a last-second push will turn Pennsylvania blue. Our Shannon Perrine continues our team coverage now with the vice president's message.
Seconds after Vice President Kamala Harris left the stage, pop star Katy Perry took the stage, all in support of her bid to become the next president of the United States. And the vice president tonight used a very familiar phrase to pump up the crowd.
And we are not going back because America is ready for a fresh start. And we are ready for a president who knows the true measure of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it is based on who you lift up.
One of the issues the vice president made sure she underlined at tonight's event is abortion.
It is a fight for the future, and it is a fight for freedom. Like the fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. Baby, do you dare to do this? 'Cause I'm coming at you like a dart.
Let's go! So the vice president, using the star power of Katy Perry, Cedric the Entertainer was here as well. Her barnstorming is not done in Pennsylvania tonight. She's on her way to Philadelphia in her attempt to get promoted from vice president to president of the United States. In Rankin at the Kerry Furnace, I'm Shannon Perrine, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.
This rally, the latest and final indication that Harris is putting a major emphasis on Pennsylvania. Yasmin Rodriguez has more on the enthusiasm from her supporters down the final stretch.
Plenty of excitement here at the Kerry Blast Furnaces Monday night as thousands of Kamala Harris supporters packed in here to hear her one last message to voters before Election Day Tuesday morning.
And so this just felt like a really cool opportunity to get to see her the day before the election.
Vice President Kamala Harris making Pittsburgh her second to last stop in the state before Election Day. And thousands made the trip for one of her final rallies. The focus of the rallies putting a spotlight on our area.
But it's definitely a little nerve-wracking at the same time because the whole country's looking at us for the whole an outcome for the whole entire country.
For some attendees, it was their first Harris rally.
This is my first chance to get in to see her, so I'm excited.
And even for some, their first election.
And I'm so excited that this is the first presidential election I get to vote in, and it's a candidate that I love and I fully support.
But it wasn't just a local crowd here. Some even making the trip from out of state.
I came all the way just because I really wanted to hear her speak, and I think it's a really momentous part of American history that we're potentially about to elect the first woman president.
Rally goers saying there are an abundance of issues that have resonated with them and their support of Harris, but at the forefront, women's rights.
Because it is truly the way forward. It's we've seen so many times recently that the Republican ticket is just not a good fit for the country.
All of our rights are just truly on the line, and it's a big what if it doesn't happen.
And we caught up with those rally goers after, who say now they're even more excited to head to the polls after tonight.
Because I was really nervous going into this election, and after seeing the crowd and the energy, I'm feeling a lot more hopeful.
Now the vice president taking the stage here at around 9 o'clock tonight, but before she spoke, a special appearance via satellite by her running mate, Governor Tim Walz. In Rankin tonight, Yasmin Rodriguez, Pittsburgh's Action News 4.